on a few platforms. Again, we are on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. So if you see me looking in different locations, it's because of that. I'm trying to please everybody. I know I shouldn't try, but here I am. So let's talk about what is the role of immigration attorneys. So I am a U.S. immigration attorney. So we help people everywhere make the United States their permanent home. When we do that, a question that we get asked a lot, I mean, all the time is, why do I need an immigration attorney? And what is it that you can do for me that I can't do for myself? And why is an immigration attorney really needed? So I will address those things in the meantime. If you do have questions pertaining to immigration, and I have a little bit of time later, I will try to address them. So for now, let's talk about the role of immigration attorneys. So you can absolutely file for immigration applications all on your own. You do not need an immigration attorney. However, you need to be particularly careful in the following situations, okay? If you have been convicted of a crime, for immigration purposes, a conviction is not always necessary. If you admitted to the elements of the offense, if you admitted to certain things, even though they later dismissed it, or you went to drug court or other courts like pretrial intervention, pretrial diversion, you definitely want an immigration attorney involved in your case. You also want an immigration attorney involved in your case if you have applied before and you have had prior immigration applications denied. Now you have to prove your current case, and you have to prove that you didn't do what they are telling you you did the first time when they denied it. So that is important. If the person who's now applying for the visa has previously been excluded, deported, removed, depends on when it was, the terminology is different, then you definitely need an immigration attorney. You may be able to apply without a waiver. You may need a waiver. You may never be able to come back, and you will definitely not know that on your own. That on itself requires a full legal analysis all on its own, okay? So those are the top three. Let's go on and talk about the rest of them. If you have a medical condition, in general, if you have a medical condition that is perceived by the government that you come to the United States, you will seek the medical care, you will not have the money to pay for it, and then you are going to rely on taxpayers' funds in order to get the medical care that you need, whether that is a temporary visa or you're coming here for permanent residency, that is a red flag. Tuberculosis, for example, is one of them. Years and years and years ago, HIV was one. It's not there anymore because it's taken care of. One of the biggest requirements right now is make sure you're vaccinated against COVID, okay? When you are already applied for an application, and say you want to come for a visa and it's taking way too long, somebody petitioned for you and it's taking way too long, you apply for your green card and that takes too long. If any of those things happen, you want to get an immigration attorney involved. In some cases, it is still within normal processing time, and is not much you can do at that point unless you have compelling reasons with which you can ask for your application to be expedited, okay? It does not happen often, but it does happen, and we have been successful. If it is something that's been pending for a long time, you already had your interviews and nothing's moving, you may be able to sue the federal government in federal court and get them to make a decision. Now, that decision, it's not an approval, it's not a denial, you don't know what it's going to be. You're just forcing them to make a decision faster so you can move on with your life. So that is absolutely doable. Now, if you are applying for an employment-based visa, okay, but your prospective employer is not helping you with that visa. You need a lawyer. The same thing if you are married to a US citizen or a permanent resident and they are not helping you with your application, or they are threatening you, abusing you, neglecting you, whatever it is, you need to talk to an immigration lawyer. Okay? Somebody's asking, do you need to sue the lawyer to get them to make a decision? Yes, most of the time you have to, unless you're willing to wait as long as they take. We have had a client apply for citizenship 4 years ago, and processing time back then was a few months or going just really fast. In her case, she moved from one location to another, so her case had to be transferred from one location to another. And it got transferred, and who knows where the case was lost. It took forever and ever and ever. After a few inquiries and liaison and calling the senator, and she finally was scheduled for the interview. She went to the interview, no decision, 6 months later. But we had to take a few other steps in between before you even can sue, because you have to exhaust certain options, okay? So we did that. 6 months later, she's still waiting. Guess what? She got called for a second interview. Meanwhile, past, no criminal issues, 0 issues in this lady's case, 0. She actually had to prepare the case to file in federal court. Then she had to tell the government, I'm filing the case. She had a decision with an invitation to go for her oath ceremony within 3 days. So sometimes you have to, and that's a great question. Do you need a lawyer to sue them? You cannot sue them on your own. For that, you absolutely need a lawyer. So that's a great question. So I see another question. So let me address a couple more things. So I was in the middle of saying that if you are married to a US citizen or a permanent resident, and they are not cooperating with filing for your immigration papers, they are abusing you, neglecting you, treating you like shit, treating you like the way they're not supposed to, then you may be able to do something and get your residency without their approval, okay? So you do not depend on them. If you are recently married or recently divorced and you're afraid of what's going to happen to your status, that is when you need an immigration lawyer. If you are immigrating here and your children are of a certain age and the processing times are so long and there is a risk that the children will age out while the process takes place, you need a lawyer. You absolutely need an immigration lawyer, okay? If you began the process on your own, you started it. You decided it's easy enough. I'm just going to fill out some forms because immigration is all about forms. I'm going to do it on my own. And then you realize that there are questions in there that you do not know how to answer, or you realize that there are certain things there that if you really are honest with yourself, thinking back, you would have to lie on that application. That is when you'd call a lawyer. So these are quite a few reasons that I gave you why an immigration lawyer is critical for your immigration future, right? So you want to come to the United States, you want to be in the United States legally, you want to make sure you do not have issues, you want to avoid mistakes and delays. That is when you hire an immigration attorney, okay? Can you do it on your own? Yes. You may get lucky. You'll talk to a cousin's friend twice removed. I don't know. You'll talk to them and they'll tell you, yes, you don't need an immigration lawyer. I did it all on my own. Yeah, that was probably 20 years ago. It was probably in a different location. It was probably on a different category. You do not know what you do not know. And another thing, Google has all the right answers and all the wrong answers. I have all the right answers and all the wrong answers that I'm giving you right now. They are very general in nature. We do not know what is applicable to each single case. Like you are unique. Your DNA is unique. Nobody in the world looks like you. Nobody in the world has had your life experience or your immigration history, your family history, your criminal history, your employment history, your education. Why would you believe that your immigration case is exactly the same as the person down the road? It is not. I have been doing this a long time, and I have not yet seen two cases that are identical. It just doesn't happen. Okay. So let's address a couple more questions now that you know when do you need an immigration attorney. Okay. So let's address a couple more questions. Let's see what we have here. How can I get lottery 2022 to 2023? That ship has sailed already. The applications for DV lottery 2023 was already done. What you're looking for is next year. That usually does come up in October. So stay tuned. We usually announce it around September or early October when the government lets us know, and then I'll update you. Okay. Can a green card holder sponsor parents? You need to be a US citizen to be able to sponsor your parents. Green card holders can sponsor minor children and their spouses. A friend was held at gunpoint at a robbery. Wow, I'm so sorry to hear that. She spoke to the police, but she's illegal and she's very scared. That is an actually fantastic question because your friend was the victim of a violent crime. And as long as she filed a report with the police and she's cooperating with the police or with the state attorney in prosecuting the crime, then your friend is actually eligible to apply for a U visa. Okay, U visa could get you a work permit, and it does lead to your green card. Okay, it takes forever, but if you don't have other options, you don't have other options. What does it hurt to try? Of course, it depends on the crime, the location, under what statute, what crime, what is the person, did you cooperate with the government, and so on. But absolutely yes. What is the wait time for F2B category? Okay, well, we can definitely look that up. So let's see. So to look up what is the wait time for that, you go to Google, you do visa bulletin, and you look at the most recent visa bulletin that the Department of State puts out. Okay, so right now, for example, we are past mid-January. They would have the visa bulletin for theoretically February, but let's see what they have if they announced it. Okay, let's see, visa bulletin. I'll tell you in a second. Oh, look, they have February 2023. So now that we look at February 23, you ask for F2B category. So for family sponsored preferences, okay, so remember, immediate relatives are spouses, parents, and children of US citizens. Okay, for those, there is no wait time. Everybody else is a family preference. Family preference has different categories. So let's talk a little bit about those categories. We have F1, which is unmarried sons and daughters of US citizens. We have F2A, which is spouses and children of permanent residents. Then we have F2B, which is unmarried sons and daughters over the age of 21 of permanent residents. Third category, F3, is married sons and daughters of US citizens. And fourth, brothers and sisters of adult US citizens. So if you notice, for permanent residents, it's only spouses and children, okay? So for F2B, unmarried sons and daughters, we have, right now, for almost all countries in the world, they are processing applications filed in September 2015. So we are looking at 8 years wait time. Now, if you are from China and India, hold on a second. All right. If you are from China and India, it's the same date. If you are from Mexico, they are now processing applications filed in June 2001. That is a 22-year wait time. If you are from the Philippines, it's October 2011. These times are crazy, okay? So we are hoping for immigration reform. We don't know if that's ever going to happen or if it's going to happen in my lifetime, but let's hope so, okay? Hope that answered your question. I don't know what country you're from. If I see your message later, I'll address it, Okay, let's see. All right. Okay. Well, yeah, so I'm assuming you're the same person who talked about the robbery. No other lawyer told this. It's okay, yes, a new visa does take forever. It really does take forever. It is 6 to 8 years at this point, and then the green card process. But it's an option, and it's an option that a lot of people have. Many people have. And yet some lawyers don't necessarily screen for it. Remember that when you call an immigration attorney, if they don't handle certain types of cases, they are not going to screen for that, okay? For example, if somebody calls my office and they are in removal, deportation proceedings, I don't handle those, okay? I just simply ask, do you have an active case in immigration court? If you don't, I don't handle those. I'm not going to waste your time and take your money if I don't do that. So maybe she just went to another attorney, your friend, and then that attorney didn't tell her because they were not doing that. Okay. Yes, U visa takes forever. What's the best number to contact our office? Oh, okay. Well, let's hope she calls. Okay. So the number is 954-231-4840. Okay. So let's try that. Hope this addressed anybody else has any question. I'll be more than happy to address them. Otherwise, remember, criminal record, medical issues, prior applications that have been already denied, applications that are taking too long. All of these things are reasons why you should definitely contact an immigration attorney. Now, the topic specifically addresses role of an immigration lawyer when he talks about work visas. Okay, when he talks about work visas, remember the immigration attorney. Okay, the immigration attorney represents both employer and employee, and an immigration attorney ethically cannot do that unless the interests of the employer and the employee are aligned. What does that mean? It means that as long as they agree that they want to work together, then the immigration attorney can represent them. If the employee quits, employer decides not to work anymore, employer decides they are no longer interested in sponsoring, at that point, we must withdraw from representation, and we cannot continue because we cannot continue representing just one party. Okay. Okay, let's see. First question, what are the documents I need when filing for my family? It really depends. Every case is different, but let's say you want to sponsor your family. You definitely need marriage certificate, birth certificates, death certificate if it's applicable. By the way, if you're married to a US citizen and your spouse just died, God forbid, got COVID, got hit by a bus, you can still get your green card if you file soon enough after that. So in that case, you need the death certificate, but you need the marriage certificate. You need prior divorce degrees, all the prior divorce degrees of yours and your spouse's, okay? If you're applying for your parents, you obviously need your birth certificate, and you need that birth certificate to show your parents' names. Okay, for example, in Canada, they have two types of birth certificates. They have short form and long form. From Canada, you always want the long form. Okay, I know I talked about Canada on Monday too. I don't want you guys to think that all my clients are from Canada. That is so not true. Okay, I have one more question. One of my friends got EAD through U visa. What next? You just extend that employment. So if your friend just got it, okay, I don't know when they got it. They may have a 1 year or a 2-year employment authorization document. That's what EAD stands for those who do not know. So you need to extend it. Processing times for those, it's quite large, okay? So it takes forever. Apply at least 6 months in advance so you will not have a break in the process. You're just gonna keep extending those work permits until it gets to the green card application, until that is approved, and then you can proceed on to the next step. Your staff speaks other languages than English. Yes, my entire team speaks, well, I have people on my team who speak Spanish, Portuguese, Haitian Creole. We are in Florida, so we get all this. We have Romanian, Hungarian, Russian, Ukrainian. That's pretty much what we have in our team. How long is taking to get citizenship in Portugal? I cannot help you with applying in Portugal. I am a US immigration attorney, so I can only give you advice on US immigration law. For example, if you want to go to Portugal, you need to apply there, so you should seek the help of a Portuguese attorney. If you are applying to Canada, you want to seek the help of a Canadian immigration lawyer. It's always the country you're going to. Okay. All right. I think I addressed all the questions that were there in the chat. So unless I see one popping up right now, thank you guys for joining me. I'll be here again, I think Friday, and we will address more questions. Okay. Good to see you all. We'll chat soon.